They buried me in the water and I came, I knew. Ha ha. Now I'm baptized in blue.
I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.
Welcome to the Changing the Culture podcast with your host, me, Autumn Clifford. As always, I'm very excited to have you here. If you loved that music, go to the end of the podcast, check out the whole song. I love hip hop. I love first responders. So mixing it together is obviously one of the things that I'm passionate about. I'm really excited to bring you today's show. But before I do, I want to invite you to come and hang out with me in the Culture Shock Challenge. I am teaching you, I'm leading and guiding you on 14-day challenge on how you can ditch burnout, to be the most resilient person that you know, and to honestly really shock our culture, change the culture that we have for first responders. This is designed specifically for you. It's all backed by science. There's a link in the bio. It's free to join. Come and hang out with us. Let's go. You want to feel better? You want to lose some weight? You want to be able to think better? You want to be able to sleep better? This is for you. I made it just for you. All right, fam. I hope you enjoy this podcast episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. This week's interview, Dr. Jason Piccolo. Jason, what's up?
What's up with you? Hey, I love coming on these shows. I love doing shows. So it's great to be on here. It's great to actually see an audience. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people.
Yeah, we have a cool audience. Yeah, first responder audience.
And, there's a baby too. So that's 7. I love it.
She is our star. She definitely is. She was just born. So she's our star of the mastermind for sure.
No, this is a great format. And I really appreciate you having me on. You know me, I could talk forever about pretty much anything.
Well, we love that.
I'm trying to think if there's something I can't talk about. Nah, I can talk about anything. So whatever you guys want to hear, whatever you want to talk about. Yeah.
So Jason, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Dr. Jason Piccolo?
You know, I've got this down to 45 seconds, so someone hit it. 1990s, I was an enlisted guy in the U.S. Army Artillery. I got out, went to college in Minnesota, got a degree in law enforcement, also commissioned as an infantry officer. But instead of going back active duty in 2000, I became a U.S. Border Patrol agent. Then I became a U.S. Customs Special Agent back in the day. This is pre-9/11. And I worked narco trafficking for a long time as part of a high-intensity drug trafficking area group down in San Diego. Did that for a bit. I was involuntarily recalled for Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2005. Subsequently deployed for about 18 months, including a tour in Iraq. Got back, went to work for a DOD task force, working on the Al-Qaeda investigations for about 7 months. Then I went to work for another DOD entity for a couple of years. Then I went to work for ICE for a few years, did that, and now I work for another agency, just about going on 21 years. But in between, I wrote a couple books, got some education, got a master's in forensic science, doctorate in strategic security, and I got 2 incredible kids. And I love it. And I host the Protectors podcast, which I absolutely love doing.
Ah, man.
It might have been a little bit more than 45 seconds, but yeah.
I'd say you've done some shit, huh?
Yeah, it's just been fun. It's been a good career so far. I have 2 years and 24 days left. So once I hit that big age of 50, I will be retiring.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna probably do podcasting, hosting.
Yeah.
I just started doing I've been doing court TV every week for the past 13 weeks. So I want to do something like that, where I could host my own show via, kind of like widespread.
Absolutely. What do you do on court TV?
Law enforcement analysts. So what they do is they have a crime time segment at night. Pretty much every night, Monday through Friday at 9:35, they have the crime time segment, which what we do is we look at 4 scenarios. I shouldn't really say scenario, 4 clips of something happened in the news. So officer involved shooting, a lot of like porch pirates the past couple episodes just because of the holidays. It could be anything, use of force. And then what we do is me and they'll have another law enforcement guy on, our girl, and we talk about it. and they run that 5 days a week, and I do it probably once a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fun.
feeling, anybody else feeling a little starstruck?
No.
I'm like starstruck now. You're on TV. That's freaking awesome. So what, like, where do we go? Like, what channel? Do we YouTube? What do we
Yeah,
do?
well, Court TV is on, I think almost all the major cable networks have it now. And then, what do you call it? It's online. You can go to courttv.com.
Okay.
And I like how you say that. I'm like, I'm just a tattooed ex-army guy. So, I mean,
I love it. How did you get into that? How'd you get on Court TV?
well, there is one aspect of my career. I talk about it periodically. I haven't talked about it a lot lately, but I was a whistleblower at one time under the previous administration for some stuff, shady stuff the Obama administration did. And it's not really political. It's just that I used to work for the White House Security Council's human smuggling cell. So what we were charged with was, stopping all the smuggling of little kids and stuff coming across the border. And I blew the whistle on some stuff that happened, including releasing thousands of these little kids to criminals. And somehow, when all the stuff with the kids in cages came out, I didn't want to stand back anymore. So I came out into the public eye and I started talking about the reality of the Southwest border and about all sorts of stuff like that. And that brought me up. I used to do a lot of mainstream media like Fox, OEN, a bunch of other stuff like that. But I kind of got out of that stuff and I started really getting into, really what my bread and butter of my existence is. It's just, what do I know? And that's like, why don't I use some of the experiences I've had and talk about stuff? I got kind of tired. I don't want to be a political soundbite. So I stopped doing all those shows. I could have gone on and on and on, but I don't want to be the raving guy online that gets like 2 minutes and they use like 30-second soundbite. So I do the Court TV stuff. That gives me 25, 30 minutes to talk.
Okay. So we got to go back because I'm like, again, starstruck again here. No, but it's just amazing. Like the shit that you've done and seen, I bet is just, it's amazing. It's awful, right? It's awful and it's amazing. But, one thing I would like to go back and I'd like to just chat with you about. So when all of this stuff came out, right? Because like, what's it called? Like Golden Gate or what's it called? Like this whole, I don't know, like when COVID happened and then everybody said that COVID happened because they're covering up like children, like
not Spygate, scandal, something gate. It was with the trafficking.
Yeah. So were you like, yeah, I already knew this was going on, or like what?
Well, the trafficking thing is huge, and that's actually what my next book is going to be about, is domestic trafficking, because most of my career previous to everything that happened was all about smuggling and trafficking and drugs and dope coming across the border. And I really want to take a look now at domestic trafficking. And there is so much of it going on. I did a bunch of YouTube videos on it that got some decent hits on there. And, there's a lot going on. I don't get into the conspiracy theories because, if you've been if anybody's been in law enforcement for more than a day, they know that, excuse me, the lowest common denominator is usually the ones that get arrested. So, the vast conspiracies kind of drive me a little nuts. While there is a lot of evil going on at the upper echelons, I don't think we know about as much of it that's going on. And I don't think there's some vast government conspiracy that's hiding it, because I don't think the government can hide shit like that. I mean, there's always going to be whistleblowers. There's always going to be people out there that are going to talk about it. Are they complicit and not going after some of these high profile cases? Yeah, I'd say so. But are they actually directly involved? I doubt it. But is this shit happening? Absolutely. Absolutely. When you got people with billions of dollars in their pockets, upmost of, there's only so much power they can have. And that in the law enforcement realm, people always take that power and they want to, sometimes they look at it for illegal and illicit means, but a lot of it's for their own personal fulfillment. Am I making sense? Like, when you have people who have like, okay, I want a Lamborghini. That's not enough. Okay, I want 3 girlfriends. That's not enough. Okay, I want to abuse a child. That's not enough. What more are they going to do? Just because we have technology and phones and everything, I always say this to people. I'm like, just because we have technology and everything's like really gone forward in the past 100 years from, reading a newspaper a day to now having everything at your fingertips doesn't mean we're any smarter of a society, or that evil that existed 100 years ago is not the same evil that exists now. I mean,
Right.
anybody in the field, whether or not you're a first responder, emergency responder, anybody that's out there in that community, you actually understand that it's out there. Okay,
Mm.
I'm off my soapbox now. You know me, I could talk forever. And plus, I had a cup of coffee. So,
That's okay. I like it. I like it. Devin said it's Pizzagate. It was Yeah, you were right.
yeah.
Pizzagate. So let's go back. What branch in the military were you in?
I was in the Army.
Yeah.
I was in the U.S. Army. And how did I get into that? That's one
Yeah.
of the questions there. So I tell you what, I was not I should really bring this up a lot more, but I was a really shit student. I barely made it out of high school. Moved out of my house when I was 16 or 17. Well, 16 and 17. It was kind of, first time was not in my own control. Second time was in my control. Barely got out of high school. Went to community college. Failed out of community college. Always wanted to be a soldier. So I finally said, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I went in the Army, did my time, got out, and, it kind of kicked my ass. So that got me really into education and bettering myself. So that's why I went to college. And that's why I continued to go to college and continue to do everything. Because, you have 24 hours in a day, or, 7 days a week. You could always have time to kind of knock something out. And especially now with online school, I mean, you could do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you go and you were in the military, and then
Mhm.
you decided to get into law enforcement after that?
Yeah. Well, my best friend, when we were both got out of the Army, he went into the U.S. Border Patrol. And I was going to go into the Border Patrol at first, but, where they wanted to station me at first was kind of a shithole somewhere in Texas. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go to college real quick. So I went to college, knocked that out in about 2.5 years, got my bachelor's, and then I joined a Border Patrol, and I ended up at the same station as him. And the same everything. And the last 6 months I was there, we were actually on an ATV unit together, which was incredible.
That's cool.
And that's how I got into it. And this is where I got to say, you never know how things work out. And my friend actually died in the line of duty 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And he was up in North Dakota. But that's the thing, though, is you never know how much time you have, and you never know how much legacy you're going to have.
Yes.
And the biggest thing is that as I look at Devin with the baby, is I have 2 incredible kids, 10 and 12. Everything I do is for them. I don't, I could talk shit all day long. I could go on, but everything, I want a legacy saying, okay, dad did this, dad did that. But he didn't do it because he wanted to make $1 million, because, it's,
I hear you. I hear you. So, okay, well, let's back up. I have a ton of questions. So Border Patrol, what was that like? Because first off, where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
Okay, I'm from Maine. So
There you
about
go.
5 hours north of you. So when I think of Border Patrol, I am scared as fuck. So can you tell me a little bit about
Sure.
that? Like going down on the Mexican border?
Yeah,
Hell no.
let me explain the border to you, though, because if you're up in
Thank
Maine, you understand this. Route 95 goes from Maine to Miami, right?
Yes.
That is how long, that's how far and wide and everything our southwest border is.
Wow.
So you have roughly, nowadays, we have 16,000 agents on the border, on the southwest border, to cover 24/7, 365 days a year. And that includes the ones that have to do admin functions, the ones that have to do supervisory roles and management roles. So you're essentially a 1 or 2 person patrol out there, kind of humping around looking for traffic coming across the border. At the time, I think I was, 26 when I first started that. Yeah, 26. So I didn't, I still had a different mentality back then about like dropping into canyons and everything by myself. But it's a good career. I mean, it's a good thing it's a good stepping stone into the federal government.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things you do. You could either be sitting and watching the fence rust because, that's your position for the night. They call it sitting on an X. You could be transporting. There's a lot of different things out there. And I never really thought of it as like the most dangerous job I've done, but it was a really good experience.
What kind of things did you do other than patrolling on an ATV?
Oh, I was on a mountain unit, did that for a bit. That means you're just up there and you track out groups that come across the border and you push them up and over the mountains over by San Diego.
Wow.
And I did that for a bit. I was a Spanish, what do you call it? Liaison, or Mexican liaison, they call it. So I used to do some stuff with the Mexican police because at one time I could really speak good Spanish, but now it's no habla. Now it's like 20 something years later. Yeah, I did that for a bit. I loved my next job, which was customs special agent, because a lot of people don't realize, like, back in the day, customs was the shit. Before, well, they're still doing a lot of great things, but we used to have a lot more with undercover funding because it was under the Department of Treasury. So I was part of an undercover group for a bit, and that was awesome in San Diego because you kind of learn about the underbelly of the narco world at the kind of like the macro level compared to like the street hand to hands and stuff like that. So you learn a lot that way. And I did that for a while, and that was a highlight of my career. And now I'm just kind of in semi-retirement zone, 2 years and some change.
So what was working like narco? Like, can you explain that to me? What did you do?
Sure. Most regions have what they call a high intensity drug trafficking area, HIDTA group. And so what we were part of a HIDTA team down in San Diego called Operation Alliance. And what our goal was to disrupt and dismantle major narco smuggling organizations. And we primarily, the groups there was 2 proactive groups that I was part of. And I was the one that dealt with mostly, we're supposed to go after the bigger organizations. We're not supposed to be reactive, meaning, okay, a load of dope comes across the border. We're going to go down there and process it, blah, blah, blah. We were the ones that are supposed to find out, okay, who sent that load across? What are we going to do with it? Are we going to follow it out? Are we going to, track it up and figure out what kind of network it is? So I did that for a bit. And that is kind of what HIDTA is down there. And so I eventually did a couple of my own, what they call organized crime drug enforcement task forces, where I can go out and recruit people from state and local and other federal agencies to go after big organizations, or in my case, 2 big organizations. And yeah, that was fun, but it was a while ago now. I left that agency in 2007 after the war. So
it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I did work for ICE for a long time. So I think it was 2009 to 2016. And I ran the Delaware office. So if anybody's familiar with Delaware, I ran their fugitive operations team down there for ICE. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I'd love to know what's been the coolest thing you've ever been a part of.
Oh, there was I was working with a buddy, and it was a local wire. So we weren't going after these big organizations, but it was like a local wire on a cocaine smuggling organization down in San Diego. But we were all working like day and night on this case, and we're like, those pictures of people sitting in the back of a hot, sweaty van and shorts and listening in on everything. We were doing that for a long time, but then taking it down was the best thing, because it just went down, and we all had to run. And for like 2 weeks, we were just taking out every target we possibly could. But the funniest part about it was, there was a lot of strikes back then in front of grocery stores. The grocery stores in California were striking. So we went to do a takedown, and there were all these protesters in front of the grocery store, and the guy came to drop off a load of drugs to our undercover guy. And we ended up taking it down, and all the protesters, because we yelled, "Please freeze," and all these cars are screeching. All the protest signs like flew up in the air like 20 feet. People are like running everywhere, but it was just, I should be laughing, but it was like the funnest time of my life was being young and dumb and being like, what the hell? Now I'm looking back going, what the hell were we thinking?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. What do you think? What's the worst thing you ever had to handle?
Oh my gosh. I know this one anybody ever asked me this. I was running fugitive operations, and we ended up going to this house looking for a subject. The wife let us in, and there was a 6-year-old kid, but he was so emaciated. He looked like he was 3. and there was fucking cockroaches and everything, all the food they were giving them. And I'm like, we ended up calling child services, but it was just so fucking just disgusting how people would do that to their own kids. And it just, to this day, I'm like, and that's why, a lot of this leads up to why I did what I did. But yeah, that was just absolutely disgusting. And to know that people are out there, because like anything with kids, it just drives me nuts and it just enrages me.
So go to the next thing. So why you did what you did?
Well, this is kind of a personal story. And, I did write a book about this, and I'll gladly give you guys all free copies.
Tell us all about it. We'd love to hear it. Tell me what it is.
I wrote a book called Unwavering-Border-Agents' Journey. I'm looking around this junk pile. I can't find it, but yeah, I wanted my memoir to get out there. So when I got back from the war, I, during this, and this is kind of one of those really weird personal stories that kind of affected how I do my things. So when I have two older brothers, and my oldest brother was 8 years older than me. My other brother is 4 years older than me. Now, when I was working narco trafficking and stuff in San Diego, my oldest brother was trying to kick a cocaine addiction. And having that cocaine addiction actually caused him to have a heart attack. So I moved him out to San Diego, put him up in rehab, was trying to get him straight. But I ended up getting involuntarily recalled to go to the war, and I couldn't help him anymore. So when I left to go away for 18 months, he ended up becoming homeless and ended up going to jail. So when I got back from the war, 18 months later, he was in jail, and he ended up having remember I said he had a heart attack before. Well, he ended up having a massive heart attack, and he ended up dying in jail. Wow. So, but the thing that kind of, changed my outlook on everything is when I went to pick up his stuff, his physical property, because they told me, they're like, look, you better come and get this stuff in the next few days, or we don't know what's going to happen to him. I go there, the warden's out there, he meets me in the lobby, and he was talking to his secretary or something like that, and they were just kind of like brushing me off. He had a plastic bag in his hand, and I go, hey, just so you know, I'm a special agent, blah, blah, blah. I just want to know what kind of happened to my brother and all that. And he goes, oh, we can't talk about it. He hands me a plastic bag and goes, here, just sign here. As I left, I was like, what the fuck was that? So I'm looking through the plastic bag of all of his stuff. And first responders know what commissary is and all the other stuff. He had a box of Cheez-Its. They literally dumped it out in there with all of his stuff on his Bible and everything else. And I'm like, my brother was in jail for was child support. He didn't pay his child support, so he was down $3,000. It would have cost me $3,000 to get him out of jail. But I read the letters that he had in there, and the letters were in there. I can't ask Jason anymore for anything he's done. I'm going to do this on my own. He was just about to get work release. He was straight. And after I did my, a couple years later, I looked up that jail and the ward and everything. It turns out a lot of them got pinged for corruption and all sorts of other funny shit. So later on, when I blew the whistle, I said, you know what? Fuck that. I don't care if just because you're in the government, or just because you wear a badge, or just because it doesn't mean you're always an honorable person. And I said, I have to have a code. And if I don't have that code, then, fuck them. And that's why people are like, well, how could you do that? You could lose everything. I'm like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I want my kids to be able to say, you know what? My dad did something. And the reason, because, man, when I blew the whistle, my kids were 8 and how much were they? 6 and 8 at the time. And I'm thinking about those little kids that were getting released to like sex offenders and everything else. Cause I saw the criminal histories on these people were the same age as my kids. And I was like, you know what? Anybody in my situation would do it.
Damn. I'm so sorry.
Don't say that. There's nothing to be sorry about.
Well, that's, so that leads me to like my next thing. So, I know that you're a college professor, so aren't I. And, one of the topics that we're talking about, we're actually just this week, and I don't believe in coincidences, is, we're talking about the recidivism rate. And if it is on the criminal justice system to rehab before, is it on us to rehab, or are we just strictly like punishment?
I don't know. How do you rehab though? I mean, and that's the thing is I tried so hard to rehab him, but he ended up rehabbing himself. But when it comes to like, what do you call it? Addiction. That's something, it's more than law enforcement you can't,
No.
beat someone to be, they have to take the first step themselves.
Oh, and I agree. But the thing is I mean, this guy was in jail because of child support. I mean, and then, I'm not trying to be all liberal. Okay. So all my very conservative friends, don't be getting mad at me because I'm really, but the thing is like, I do think that we do need to be asking ourselves, why are people spending long stints in jail?
Well, I'll tell you that in a second here. But one thing about him was what really bothered me the most was knowing that he had a stent in his chest or wherever they put the stents for a heart, and they were letting him do something like that and not monitoring him and everything else. That's kind of what really did it. The other thing too is when I worked for ICE, I actually worked at ICE headquarters before I went to work for the White House. And one thing we learned was I shouldn't say one thing we learned because it's nothing learned. It was just something that we did, was that every time we had, at the time they called bed space. A bed space at the time was 48,000 beds we could afford, or we could have 48,000 aliens in a bed at night. Now you could have as many as you want, but I learned how the jails price. It could be anywhere from $17 a night to $300 a night.
Wow.
Because remember, jailing and private jails and everything like that, it's a money-making business.
Yes.
And that's one of the things where I'm like, you know what, if you take it out, but the thing is too, is like, we're incarcerating so many people. It's like, where do you house them all?
Right.
So should we but I still don't believe in mass releases and mass this and mass that, because there's too many shitbags out there. But, I mean, how do you triage and figure out who's going to go out and reoffend?
Well, I agree, but I mean, not paying child support doesn't. I mean, it's not a big offense. You know what I'm saying? That's totally civil. I don't know about you, but like in Maine, that's civil.
To a mom out there who's trying to raise 3 kids on $200 a week, and they're not getting paid child support, and the husband's out there doing whatever. Now, my brother was I mean, the guy was homeless, and there's no way in hell he could have got the money. He actually did get work release. He was supposed to start like 2 weeks later. But what's the deal is, I mean, are you going to house these people while they work at night, and then, or you're just put them up in a halfway house or something?
Right.
If that's the deal.
How do you deal with like the emotions? Like, you've seen a lot of things, and you've seen a lot of things. I can say that a lot of people haven't seen and dealt with, and a lot of things that a lot of people don't know, which I want to talk to you about the White House in a minute. But one thing I want to talk to you about is like, how do you deal with emotions? Like what, you know what I'm saying? Like the emotional survival aspect of law enforcement and the shit that you've seen.
Well, it's compartmentalized, it's like anything, I've been through my times where I was drinking a lot. I still don't sleep worth a shit. I don't know if that's something to do with the mass everything throughout my life, but I know one thing: alcohol is not the way, because I always sleep like shit whenever I drink.
Mm-hmm.
I just really, I focus on 5 different things. There's a reason I have a podcast. There's a reason I write books. There's a reason I teach college. There's a reason I do this. Is because I need to have a mission. And if you don't have a mission outside of your current job, whether that mission's as small as like, hey, you know what, this week I'm going to accomplish something. And that accomplish something could be, I'm going to walk 5 miles, or I'm going to walk 2 miles around a block, or whatever. But have another mission. And that's why you see a lot of LEO suicide and a lot of emergency responder suicide, is because for one, you lose the mission. And when you get out of the military, whenever you get back from wars, when you get back from this, when you don't have that mission, when you don't have that core crew of people that are with you, that are supporting your current job or whatever, and you lose that focus, you lose that mission, that's sometimes when you decide to lose your life. So me, I don't, I've dealt with the demons. I've dealt with the suicidal ideation back in the day. I clearly talk about anything, because I'm not going to shy away from it, because anything I say, if it helps someone else get through it, absolutely. But have something, and it doesn't have to be, and I always tell people, it doesn't have to be to build your resume. There's a different type of resume. And I don't know if it's because I'm closer to 50 than 40 now, but my resume now is to build me.
Yes.
I do all this shit to build me.
Yes.
My resume is good enough. And you know what? anybody knows, if you've been around the game for a while, it really doesn't matter what your resume has on it.
Nope.
They're going to hire you because they either know you or someone knows of you. Entry level is different, but anything past entry level is,
Yep. 100%. It's always about what you know, who you know, not what you know. Always.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just always is, and I couldn't agree more. Well, you
Get
talked
some
about
questions. Suicidal ideations. Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Sure. And that's one thing I always try to explain to people. I'm like, if anybody out there's thought about it, or like really seriously thought about it, they know what I'm talking about. That it's I'm sorry, Joseph's picture is just driving me nuts because I don't know if that's really him looking at me once in a while.
No, it's not. It's just
I'm
a photo.
So, there he is. So for anybody out there who's listening, Joseph had this picture. It's like, yeah, okay, bro. Okay, whatever. But
it is. It's got that face for sure.
So it's a numbness. It's, you could have kids, you could have this, you could have that. But you get to the certain point where you just become a blank slate and you're like, maybe I should just kill myself. Maybe if I'm not here, maybe things will be better for them. You're very selfish. You think it's for them, but it's really for you. But I went through that for a while. And then, after a while, I was like, you know what? It's about me now. And now I got to get my head straight. I got to, I don't care if I'm, 300 pounds or 200 pounds or 180 pounds. Because I'm one of those people who's like stress eats.
Me too.
So,
big time.
Yeah. And so you go through these ups and downs, but you have to get through them. And I always tell people, I'm like, sometimes it's like a dark cloud. It's a 24 to 48 hour dark cloud. And I always tell people it's like a black sponge, like a sponge inside your head that makes it so you can't see clearly. And if you could just pull that fucker out of your head, that you would just be fine.
Yes.
But it's like, I really should come up with something different than a sponge. It's almost like a filter, but it's just cloudy and dusty, and it's got all that gook and all the dust and everything goes on here. You can't see through it. And if it could just get clearer, you would see that, you can get through this. But it only takes 24 to 48 hours to get through it. And if we could get to that point where we could get people, and especially now, it's not just the military community. There's the suicide rate is through the roof. And if it's not suicide, it's addiction. I'm gladly talk about drinking because I was drinking my ass off. And, for the past 6 months now, I think 5 months now, I've only drank twice. I mean, I can't really.
Good for you.
Yeah,
well,
but
what led you down that?
This is actually another one of those weird things about me. I was a military advisor / actor on a low budget horror movie called Clown Motel 2.
No shit.
Yeah. So over the summer,
I'm starstruck again, you motherfucker. How are you getting on TV? You need to tell us.
Oh, I'll tell you that in a minute. That's my secret. Actually, there's no secret to it. It's just very easy. But so I knew I was going to be in this movie, and I'm like, I knew I was getting really bloated up, and I knew the camera was going to add another 100 pounds on me, or 10 or whatever. So I stopped drinking, and then I felt good. I was like, holy shit, I'm waking up in the morning. I'm not, hazed. I was like, I'll just keep going, and I'll just keep going. And I did that for a bit, and then I started seeing the weight loss, and I was like, this is kind of working. So now I'm like, I'm going to drink during special occasions now, but I'm not going to drink, just because it's Friday. It's not a special occasion. Wednesday is a good night, special occasion. Now, so I did. That's the other thing. Now let's get to TV. So just who's on LinkedIn?
Really?
Yeah, go to LinkedIn and look up. Make yourself a one sheet. And your one sheet is going to be like who you are and what your background is and why do they want you to be on the TV? Because you know what? Just because you have a great resume and, you might look good on Instagram doesn't mean that they really want you. Have to be able to talk.
Yeah. So,
and I tell people, just make up a one pager and put on there what your expertise is and what you could talk to. Then you find out and when you're in Google, type in Booker. You'll find out all the bookers. bookers and producers are the ones that actually going to bring you on, not the hosts or anything. They don't really give a shit. They're just like, okay, get someone on here. The other thing too is scan the news. Whenever you see something that you are an expert on or you want to talk about, you immediately ping those bookers and everything else. But what you do ahead of time is when you see the bookers, find out their contact information through LinkedIn, send them your one page, say, hey, if you ever need me, I'm here. But don't say, hey, you need to put me on. Just say, hey, just by the way, I do this. And when you find that topic or anything, ping them. Now, I went directly to one of the hosts once, and that's how I actually started doing Fox and all that. That's because I was like, hey, you want to really know about what's going on with the kids in cages? Put me on. And they did. The next day they put me on. So
wow.
But that's the thing, is like I was just like, you got to get fed up, or you got to be like, you got to really be able to talk about something.
That's amazing. So what, can I ask you, did you catch any heat from your agency for going on Fox?
No, because this time I don't talk about my current agency. I never do. And then that's the thing, is I just don't talk about my current agency. They said, you can talk about Homeland Security all day long. You can do whatever you want. Just don't talk about us. And I'm like, fine. Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
And believe me, I don't work for any super secret squirrely crap. I just kind of do my thing. And and I talk, and now ICE loves me, it's crazy because different administrations. And I actually had I write a lot of op-eds too for like Town Hall and Washington Examiner. I haven't done that in a while because, I'm staying out of the politics. But, and that's the thing though, is like ICE is like, yeah, what do you want to know? And I'm like, can you get me a quote on this? And they're like, sure. So, I mean, just really, and I tell everybody too, is if you want to do TV and stuff like that, write op-eds, write opinion pieces. If you don't want to do TV and you want to just build your resume, write op-eds and write opinion pieces.
How do you do that? Can you explain that to us? Because I don't know.
Sure. So let's say when you're done here, just Google Jason Piccolo Town Hall. Because these are, one thing I liked about writing for Town Hall is they're very conservative, but they don't edit my shit. They let me know putting up fancy titles to make it shock. And I've written about trafficking on there. I've written about global war on terrorism stuff. But when you write an op-ed, you find out a current topic or something you're passionate about. And then you just, you use logical sources and you just write about 500 or 600 words on that topic of choice. And why is it relevant? Why should people care? Because nobody wants to read, or nobody wants to listen to anything if they don't really care about it.
Right. And so that'll get you exposure.
That gives you exposure, but then that also says, hey, because I used to, that got me on a few different shows just by saying, hey, look, I wrote this piece this week. You guys want to have me on and talk about it? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Because remember, when these news organizations and everything have to fill 2 hours, every bit. So you figure 2 hours is probably roughly an hour and 20 worth of content. Every one of these segments is 7 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes. So they have to fill a lot of time every day. So they're always looking for anything. And then they take, and when you do the mainstream, you find out that they take a lot of your stuff and then they make that into their own news stories and new op-eds and all that stuff. So they're getting like 5 or 6 different things out of you.
Wow. And so now, is this what you do consulting on? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's my thing, is I just I mostly help out. One of the things it's not really consulting, it's more because I don't make money on anything. The only income I have stream. Well, that's the other thing you have to realize. Like, I don't have sponsors. I don't want to. I can't sell my show or anything. I'm like, The Protectors is awesome. I get so many views on Amazon and everything else. I love doing it because I get to talk to people. It's kind of my thing, like talking to really cool guests. But the other thing is, I just love doing this shit. But the only income streams I have are from my day job, and I teach college too, online school, which is great. But you're not going to get rich doing this, and you're not going to get rich. You know that as well as I do when it comes to like podcasting and everything else. You have to have a passion. You have to build your resume.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing the past few years, is building my personal resume, building my brand or whatever.
Yeah.
And just doing stuff I enjoy. But yeah, that's I don't think I kind of The consulting is more of like, hey, you know what? This is how you do it. It's free of charge.
You're so
So
funny.
I do a lot of, and I tell anybody this, I'm like, if you have some sort of experience, especially in the emergency responder and law enforcement fields, if you have any experience over 2 or 3 or 5, 10 years or whatever, volunteer with these veteran organizations. I've been volunteering with Hire Heroes USA, and they need people who know about these, because veterans are getting out and they don't know how to get into these jobs, and they need mentors. So mentor.
Oh, that's great. I love that. And so where can people go for that? Like say that again?
Hire Heroes USA.
Awesome.
That's, for my Jersey accent, that's H as in hello or hotel. So yeah. And my next thing is I do some stuff with nonprofits. Right now, I'm going to be working with an organization called Hunter 7 Foundation. Because thanks to the good old fashioned Iraq deployment, I had what they call toxic exposure. So I had a lot of crap going in my lungs from these burn pits. So I'm working with them to try to figure out what's going on with that. And you know me, I have a big voice. Whether or not it gets heard or not is up to me. And that's one thing I really want to shine a light on next is these type of things that are affecting the veteran community. It's kind of like the modern day Agent Orange.
Really?
So that's Hunter 7 Foundation. So anybody out there listening or watching or anything else like that, please check them out.
Absolutely. So tell me, as we're winding down, I just have more questions. I just really want to hear about, I'd love to hear about like what your time was like in Iraq, and did you go to Afghanistan?
No, Iraq.
Just Iraq. Okay. So can you tell?
I'll give you my short and skinny of my deployment. So I got recalled. I got sent to Fort Benning, Georgia for a few months. They were trying to figure out what to do with all these people they recalled. Got sent down to Mississippi for training in the summer of 2005. Can anybody out there recall what happened in the summer of 2005 in Louisiana and Mississippi? Starts with a K. Ends with
I got Joseph.
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina. Okay. Yeah.
So I was actually in Katrina. After that, I went to Kuwait for a couple months with the National Guard unit they attached me to. And then I got forward deployed to what they call a Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force, which is, and I became what they call an anti-terrorism officer. It's basically staff. So I did the staff stuff for them, for all special forces in Iraq. I did that until my total deployment was 18 months. And then during that, when I was in Balad, Iraq, they have these pits. They're called burn pits. And what they are is they're about the size of 2 or 3 football fields. And they take everything and anything that burns and throws it in there, medical waste. Humvee gets blown up, throw whatever's left in there. We had one of the biggest hospitals in country there. So anything you can, throw it in there. Take some jet fuel or some diesel fuel, throw it on top of it, and then light it on fire. These burn pits go 24/7, 365 days a year. And what they do is you see smoke go up, but what you don't see is a particulate matter. That's these very microcosm type matter of all that shit that's burning in there spreads throughout the base all day, every day. And you can't wear a gas mask all day. So that goes into your lungs through your mouth or nose or nasal passageways, past your natural barriers, and gets embedded inside your body. And that when they get embedded in there, that particulate matter becomes cancerous into a lot of us. So I think we've lost over 100,000 veterans to these particulate matters, whether that's in Afghanistan, whether or not that's in Iraq, anywhere where people are forward deployed, including Africa, anywhere, because they're always burning shit, and including burning shit. All the waste goes in there as well.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to figure out if one of these dimples is maybe just a big pile of shit burned in. It's kind of gross. I know.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, I'm actually in Houston, so we open our doors to Katrina evacuees. Cool.
And Washer 6 wants to know, would you do anything different in your life? Looking back, would you do anything different?
No, I mean, the thing is, I have 2 awesome kids. I don't really give a shit about anything else. And if I went back and changed anything, it might affect that. So I wouldn't.
So you live in life. I love it. So Jason, where can people come and hang out with you?
I'm outside of Washington, D.C. once they open up restaurants and stuff. They could always find me at jasonpiccolo.us, or they could just Google my name. You're going to find me. I'm not being pompous or anything, but it's it's either going to come up Jason Piccolo, whistleblower, Jason Piccolo's an asshole, I went to high school with him, or just anything.
Jason, go ahead.
Oh, and I am always, if anybody has any questions, I don't care if you're listening, watching, or whatever, my contacts on the website. Really follow my YouTube page because I'm trying to build that thing up. And that's YouTube / The Protector Life.
Protector Life on YouTube. Got it.
And then if you are one of the lucky 1,000 subscribers that I'm eventually going to have after they listen to this, I will gladly give you a shout out. No, I don't know. I don't have shit there. Like I said before, I don't make any money. So whatever I got, it's
we can shout. Nobody wants to shout out. We just want to follow you. We like what you're doing. That's cool.
Instagram's cool too. I post the most on Instagram.
You do? Me too. I hang out on Instagram. Like, you always got something. You always got something going on Instagram, I feel like.
I love it. That's my thing.
So it's called The Protector's Life?
The Protector Life.
The Protector Life. I'm getting it right now. The Protector Life on YouTube.
You better be 591 subscribed.
Actually, I think somebody just beat me because I'm like 600 or 601.
Look at that. Woo. Yeah, another 400, I get monetized, and I'll probably get what do you call it? Like a free coffee at Dunkin' Donuts or something.
Hell yeah. We're into that.
Seriously, if anybody ever wants to get a hold of me, ever has any questions or anything, wants to talk about anything, I hate saying that, but if I don't know, I'll find out. But I will find out. I'm like, knowledge is, I love giving it away.
I love it. Jason, you are just a book of knowledge. We're going to have you back on the show sometime. Thank you so much for being here with us. Do you have anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yes. As you look behind me, there's Veteran Wood Company, there's Combat Flags. Support your businesses in the communities. If they've, and that's the thing, the reason I started the Protectors, because it's those that run towards danger and those that support them. So please find a small business run by one of these and, purchase something.
I love it. Especially right now, Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Thanks, everybody. It was nice seeing everybody. And
Sheepdog Nation.
Joseph, I like that. I like it better seeing your beautiful face there.
He doesn't feel judged anymore. Sheepdog Nation, we'll see you next time.
They buried me in the water and I came, I knew. Ha ha. Now I'm baptized in blue.
I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.
They buried me in the water in the Holy Ghost. I came out with a badge and gun and a heart that said never run. I signed up for a job you wouldn't dare to do. This ain't no green screen movie, don't compare the two. We look at your actions in the elements and everything relevant. If they line up, prepare to pay the consequence. You do dirt, you get cussed, no bluff. It's ignorant to think we will shoot with your hands up if you the police. You feel the world is against you, like every call you go to, people trying to tempt you. Well, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, I ride on the devil, I ain't scary, and I ain't worried. You want my life, come take it, it's gonna be a fight. I take you to the light, like Will and Bright. I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue.
I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.
I can't explain the pain when I see a name on the wall. All I feel is rage, put me in a cage, let me brawl. Sometimes I can't help but cry, like why did he die? I know it was him, but it could have been I. What about the kids? What about the spouse? Yeah, now who gon' put food inside them babies' mouth? It's a bigger picture when I officer down. Domino effect, Blue Nation, family, country, and town. The media don't cover us, well maybe Fox, cause MSNBC and CNN surely don't care about cops. Politicians more concerned about protecting the legal instead of laying the law down and protecting the people. Let me get off my soapbox before I curse. I don't seen way too many cops riding in hearse. Well, I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue.
I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.
If I'm faced with a mission, I'm gonna complete it. If that means being deleted, I live with the credence. I do this for the combat vets and LEOs. When I'm suited, ready to go, it's either friend or foe. Only Lord knows what my future's in store. I only kill with the hope to see more, so God don't close that door. If I take a life, it's him or me, with the hopes to survive, not bigotry. I go in situations that you cannot imagine, deal with things that you cannot fathom. No it buts or rather, I'd rather fight for a cause than live for nothing. So when you read my headstone, you know I died for something. You hypersensitive shit complain by justified force. You blame the cops first, that don't work, you blame the courts. But I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue.
I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.